Get ready
for a defense for black that is so flexible. I have a question. Are you afraid of complex lines?
Can anybody tell me anything good about the modern defense?
Oh well, it's an amazing opening.
Yes, that is correct.
And a highly underrated defense system for black. And here, black develops the bishop to g7, where it eyes the d4 pawn. Knight d7 controls c5 and e5 and also prepares a pawn push to challenge white's center pawn on d4. So black's game is a combination of counterattack and well-timed pawn breaks. Although the modern defense is a low theory system, it has become a staple in competitive play. Additionally, it offers an aggressive approach for countering aggressive play. The modern defense is based on this premise. When you have less space, exchange pieces and give yourself some breathing room. It's not so much memorizing the moves, but it's all about your planning. First you plan, then you construct, and then you begin the demolition process. And since this lesson illustration is from black's perspective, let me flip the board. So in this next game, what is black's creative plan? Post knights on d7 and e7. Gain queenside space. And demolish white's pawn center by attacking in the center. Black's plan of attack consists of a double fianchetto. So the bishop will be developed to b7 while the other bishop is placed on g7. This knight's hop to d7 prepares a pawn thrust from c7 to c5. And now black is ready to play the pawn on d6 to d5, which will attack the pawn on e4. And as usual, white will try to prove his space advantage. And now the stage is set. The knight will capture the bishop on f2, followed by a capture of the pawn on c5. However, queen f6 must be played first to deliver the check. And after rook captures pawn on c5, white recaptures. And now queen captures pawn on b2, delivering check. Now in this next game, white's plan is to support the d-pawn by playing the pawn to c3, and this is played against black's bishop on g7. So now the game starts as follows. Pawn to e4 and g6, d4, bishop g7, knight c3, knight f6, Knight on GT2, and now D5. This is a different plan for black, and after pawn to E5, the knight now hops to the E4 square. Now a trade occurs on E4, knight to G3, and black must play energetically, pawn to C5, attacking the pawn on D4. And now pawn to C3. And this setup for white is played against black's bishop on G7. Trade on D4 followed by knight to C6. And after bishop to E3, black just castles and completes his development. Now this is the final game illustration. In this variation, white fianchettos the bishop to G2. Okay, let us begin. D4, D6, G3, G6, bishop G2, bishop G7. Knight F3, knight D7, castle king side, and pawn to E5. Okay, black's plan here is to attack directly in the center, followed by attacking on the king side. And after C4, knight E7 prepares a pawn to F5 by black. And now, knight C3, castle king side. E4, H6, bishop E3. This prepares a battery along the C1 to H6 diagonal. C5, D5, and now pawn to F5, queen D2, king H7, knight to E1. Pawn F4. Now what is the idea of this pawn push? The idea is to disrupt the opponent's king side. And after the capture, knight B6, F takes E5, and now knight captures pawn on C4 with a fork on the queen and bishop, queen E2, and knight captures E5. Pawn to F4, knight G4, bishop D2, and bishop D4's check. King H1 and pawn to G5. Black just continues the attack on the king side. Okay, this is all I have for now. I'm going to conclude here. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for my next video.